This is breaking news you heard from Dan Byer. Pete Carroll is out as the Seahawks head coach. By the way, here's Pete Carroll 2 days ago on Seattle Sports 2 saying he planned on coaching next year.
I plan to be coaching this team, and I told you that I love these guys, and that's what I would like to be doing, and see how far I can go. I'm not worn out. I'm not tired. I'm not any of that stuff. I need to do a better job, and I need to help my coaches more, and we need to do a better job of coaching, and there's a lot of area for improvement.
Need to do a better job. And then he's out. Now, he signed an extension a couple years ago, right? 2 years ago. He and John Daniels, and that's why it was it's either him or Russell. When they re-signed him, you felt like, okay, so Russell was going to go. Russell did go. Let me bring in Dan Byer. It's only fair to him. He's a Seahawks fan, and he's the right kind of Seahawks fan. Literally watches every snap and forms healthy opinions. I'd say a lot of people thought a couple years ago it was time, but then last year you're like, well, okay, well maybe we let them redo it. Did you see this coming?
I thought it should have happened a couple of years ago. I felt that this organization needed to make a change. I had felt all through this season that a change should be made. But did I see it actually happening? I didn't think so because of how much power he had. The ownership situation is now kind of in the background, following Paul Allen's death a few years ago. His sister Jody now is taking control of the team, and she is not at all in the public eye as we would see like a Jerry Jones and whatnot. So I felt that, Pete Carroll had a lot of power. And so I did not think that it was going to happen. It needed to happen for the Seahawks, but I just didn't think it was going to happen.
Why do you think it happened now?
Because this team is a decade removed from their last Super Bowl win. They've changed coordinators multiple times on both sides of the ball. The defense where he hangs his hat, they lost to Uchenna Nwosu during the season and completely fell off. They acquired Leonard Williams in a trade with the Giants for a second-round pick, and Pete reportedly would have the power to say if he wants a guy, then they're going to go and get a guy, whether it be in the draft or whether it be via trade or free agency, that he would have that power. And they completely fell off, Doug. They couldn't stop the run again, couldn't stop it last year, couldn't stop it this year. And, I don't think that Geno Smith is the long-term answer. I don't think anybody does. And for as much as they need an upgrade on the quarterback position, there's even stuff offensively that didn't make sense. So, yeah, it was about time. I think that not that he hired yes men. I think he hired yes men on defense. People were always promoted within, or they went outside to get Shane Waldron as their offensive coordinator, but that was also to kind of appease Russell Wilson. But
sure,
yeah, it was time. It was. I mean, think about it, Doug. This year they celebrated the 10th anniversary of that Super Bowl winning team, and while he's never had a season where they, won fewer than 7 games, this team hasn't been close to a Super Bowl in the last 8 or 9 seasons. Like, they've made the playoffs, but they haven't been a Super Bowl contender. And now you were a missed field goal away from going 1-5 in the NFC West. So everybody is basically, the Rams and Niners have passed you, and now the Cardinals are giving you a run for their money, and they're, likely on the upswing now with some of their future. Yeah, I think it was time.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking ends of era, right? Like, we have Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick gone, and Bill Belichick has not been fired, not reassigned, or whatever. Like, these are historically, I think, second tier. Okay, and so help me out, Byer, if you agree with this. I think you put Joe Gibbs in the first tier with Parcells and Belichick, and I think you put Andy Reid there. Is that? I know he didn't win a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, but they've won 2, and they went to a Super Bowl and 5 NFC Championship games.
I do believe Belichick is in a tier by himself
because of the 6 Super Bowls.
Yes. I think that he is.
Okay,
in
so if we put Belichick by himself, where does Parcells go?
Yeah, I'd put him on that next
tier.
Yeah.
Now, is Parcells on the tier with Pete Carroll?
No, I'd put Pete Carroll in a group
Third tier.
Yeah. Yes.
Huh.
I mean, you're granted you're 1 yard away from maybe being in that second tier, but that's how That's how thin the line can be.
Yeah, well, the second tier also for fair, or the third tier also, if you put Pete Carroll there, you put Jimmy Johnson there as well, who won 2 Super Bowls but also won a championship in college, just like Pete Carroll won one in college.
Sure.
So
and I wasn't considering anything in college.
No, but there's a uniqueness to it, right? I mean, how many college guys have failed? And I don't know if he's
Sure. No, there's a uniqueness for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely uniqueness. There's definitely uniqueness. It'll be different. It'll be very, very different. And now you're like, look, there's a story, Mike Tomlin thinking about taking a year off. And all of these guys are long tenured. So it's not like, but think about it. McVay had to recommit to coming back next year, and there were thoughts of him going to the pros. Okay? Thoughts of him going to the pros.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the pros, going to television. Right? So you have McVay, who 2 years ago, maybe he'll go to television last year, maybe he'll go to television this year, surprise season. He actually, through the Rams website, is like, nah, I'm coming back for next year. Like, has this become a much harder job? Has it become a more taxing job now than it was 5 years ago? Because Tomlin's talking about taking a year off. Pete Carroll's older, so it's not a crazy surprise. It's just very interesting. Bill Belichick, obviously the time has run out, but the Tomlin and the McVay combined with these two, it's really interesting.
I think Pete wanted to coach, though. I think that he wanted to stay around. The toughest part about stepping away, and this is the Belichick part of it as well, is, and I think it's more apropos for Pete Carroll because I don't think another team was going to hire him, is once you step down, it's over. You are not going to be a head coach in the National Football League again. Sean McVay could leave and do TV for 3 years if he wanted to, and he could come back. We've seen that happen before. But when you're 72 years old, you are making that decision to say, all right, I am done being a head coach in the NFL or anywhere else. And that's what I think was probably difficult for him to do, just because of his age, being 72. Tomlin, different story, who knows, but, the younger coaches. But I think Carroll wanted to stay. I think that he did. I think that but you couldn't, not after what the team's done over the last 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. It's Dan Byer. We'll hear from him at 5:30 as we'll get you updated. Again, the news of the day is that Pete Carroll is no longer going to be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Huh. Interesting. We'll get some more reaction to it. And who could replace him? How do you replace Pete Carroll? I mean, I understand that, like Dan said, it had fallen off. It wasn't the same. But the guy is an institution there. And if he's going to remain there, which they do with these guys. Remember, Bruce Arians had some sort of made-up job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the last couple of years. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I guess I got to show up every now and again.